Today we're at Outdoor Pursuits at the Marshall Recreation Center. From hiking to biking to kayaking or rafting, they can either outfit you for your favorite hobby or show you how to do a new one. So let's go. We're here with Chad Steen from Outdoor Pursuits at Marshall Campus Recreation. So Chad, you're kind of new to town, right?
Yeah, so I just moved here in October from Mississippi originally, so about 6 months.
So this is kind of what you majored in college.
Yeah, so in undergrad, I studied outdoor recreation leadership, and then I got a master's degree in sports management.
So tell us a little bit about what we offer here at the Rec Center.
The Outdoor Pursuits program has 4 components. So we do outdoor trips throughout the semester for students and community members, and of course the members of the rec. We have team building services, so it's like a leadership challenge, people that, whether it's a student group or a local business that want to come in and sort of make their group bond better, they can do that. We also have equipment rental, so for those that already know about recreation, want to go out and do it on their own, they can rent the equipment. And then of course we have a rock climbing wall where people can come in and use that as well.
And you can actually like rent the rock wall, correct?
Yes, so you can come in, you can drop in, or if you had a private party and wanted to rent the rock wall, you could also do that.
That's pretty cool. So tell us a little bit about the trips. I understand that you are getting ready to go on a big adventure.
Yeah, so we're packing right now to go on a whitewater rafting trip today, and we'll be going all weekend. But we sort of run the gamut of outdoor recreation. We have hiking, biking, whitewater rafting, backpacking. We're doing a backpacking trip in May on the Appalachian Trail. So we do just about everything that you could possibly do.
So are those trips just open for students, or is that open for anyone in the community?
Yeah, so it's open for students, community members, and of course the members of the rec center.
Yeah. So, me, I'm old and graduated, so I could go on these trips just like anyone else.
Absolutely.
So how do people find out about the different trips that you offer?
Well, so that's a sort of a daily challenge, but we're on social media. We have our website, www.marshallcampusrec.com, that we're currently updating. We do flyers around town. We're trying to get in on the radio, TV. So also we do newspaper stuff. So we're really trying to put out feelers everywhere with media and advertising.
Yeah, so pretty much like social media or your website is a pretty reliable way to find out what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, social media is awesome, and of course, that's huge right now. Websites are great also. It's really intuitive. If you don't want to like call and ask a question, you can just figure it out. But honestly, I think word of mouth is probably the best. A person will go and they'll have a great experience. They'll tell their friends, and that's really the best form of getting the word out.
Now, you've mentioned like some of your trips like skiing and backpacking, which are obviously like overnight trips, but you do have some local trips, is that correct?
Right, so we do day trips. We'll do overnight weekend trips, but then we'll split weekends up, so we'll do a different activity on Sunday as opposed to Saturday, and vice versa. So in the summer, for instance, we have a weekend coming up to where we'll do mountain biking on Saturday in Fayetteville, and then the next day we'll be going climbing at Lake Vesuvius. So we try to keep it local. West Virginia is a great place for local recreation opportunities. So there's really no need in traveling really far.
Yeah, because there's so many great things in this area with just a short drive, and this kind of maybe is intimidating, I think, for people to get out, and this is kind of a good intro to that.
Yeah, it's great. That's our sort of our mission of the program is to focus on local recreation. I think a lot of times people get really consumed in the Colorados and the Californias and the Utahs, which are great, beautiful places, but really something just as awesome, maybe on a smaller scale, could be right in your backyard.
Yeah, so you can't really take off and go to Utah or California or at least I can't every weekend.
Yeah, well, and then we, it's good because we really work off the school timeline, so we get breaks like spring break, Christmas, so those are really times to plan bigger trips if we wanted to. We're currently planning a Western ski trip for spring break next year. So it's cool, most of the time all year round we mesh it with local stuff, but then we can throw a long distance sort of epic trip in the mix as well.
Yeah, so when people go on these trips, do they have to be expert level, or what's the skill level required?
It ranges. For the most part, it's beginners are welcome. There are some things that we go where we prefer you to have experience, but we're not going to put you in a situation to where, you know, if you were to walk off the street, you couldn't do it. You know, the purpose is to educate you on how to do the activity. So.
Yeah, so there'll always be someone there to help you, which I guess kind of gives you an advantage over trying to do things on your own or trying to find somebody to teach you, is you have all those resources right here.
Right, and you know, it's a really great way to build community. You know, aside from having instructors, there's assistant trip leaders, and then I go on all the trips. But the community of people that go, they probably have a little experience, and if they don't, then they're working together to educate each other and get each other through it.
Another thing that you offer here is equipment rental. So, you know, maybe if someone has either gone on your trips and gotten some skills or already had these, you know, wilderness skills, they might want to go out on their own. Although I know a lot of that equipment is really expensive to buy on your own, especially if you're maybe using it once or twice a year.
Right. So, a couple of good points there. We do have the equipment to rent, and the idea is that we want people to rent it, but we want people to experience the trip, but also to continue to recreate. So we're sort of educating them on our trips, and then if they want to go on all the trips, that's great, but we want them to really take it up on their own as a hobby, because it can be a lifetime hobby given the right activity. Equipment is really expensive, and to come in here and to, say, rent a kayak for $22 for an entire weekend, that's a really great bargain. It hasn't been advertised as much as we probably wanted to, so people probably don't know as much about it, which we're actively working on that. But once we get it out there, I think that people will see a lot of value in the rental system.
Yeah, so that's great that you have like these trips and the rentals, so that way, you know, people can try new things and be exposed to new things and not have that, oh wow, I just spent $100 and some on climbing shoes and I hate it.
Right, and you know, it also provides people time to invest in what they want to invest in, you know, instead of feeling like I went on this trip and I can't go on another trip until I just buy the best equipment. You can keep recreating with the equipment that we have, which is high quality at a decent price until you save up and potentially buy your own stuff.
So show us a little bit of the equipment that you all offer here.
So right now we're packing, like I said, for this weekend, but we have backpacks. Most of those are checked out right now. We have sleeping bags, tents, stoves, everything that you would need for camping, camp tables. Specifically to the rock climbing wall, we have shoes and harnesses that we rent more or less on a daily basis for those that are coming in wanting to climb. Over here to the right, we have our wetsuits and splash tops for rafting. A lot of those are checked out right now because of the trip. And you know, if it's one of those things where you go to a vendor and you're going to do a trip and they want to charge you extra for a suit, we're probably cheaper, I mean, honestly. So it would be better to come to here. We clean these things like right after each use, so they're always clean. We have the life preservers and then sleeping pads up top.
If I was going to go camping, I could basically come here, and other than food and water.
Right. So if we can outfit you with everything you need to do a basic car camping trip, or even a couple days backcountry camping, hiking, that sort of thing.
So over here we have some other equipment, and I know one thing specifically that I have checked out on more than one occasion are your kayaks, which are great because there's so many wonderful places to go around here.
Yep. So we have kayaks and canoes that you can see here in the back as well. With those rentals, you get your life preserver and your paddle as a part of the package, which, like I said earlier, based on how many days a weekend would be roughly $22. So yeah.
Yeah, so you can rent those, you know, by the day, though, correct?
Yeah, you can. You can rent those by the day. I think it's about $5 or $7 per day for that. And if it were more than 3 days, we would just work it to where, you know, it's for however many days you wanted it. So it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So you know, like I've come and gotten them before for just like a few hours to go out to, you know, Beach Fork or one of the local lakes, and it's so convenient because you just come in, you know, you have everything, like you said, the paddle and the life preserver that comes with it, and then you can just load it up, then you bring it back, you don't have to worry about storing it. So it's especially good for, you know, people who maybe don't have a lot of space. to own their own kayak,
Right.
because you can just have it for the day and return it. It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and another mentioning space, if you were to have a vehicle that doesn't already have a pre-installed rack, we also rent kayak and canoe carriers that we instruct you before, as you're renting it, how to set it up to your car. We monitor the way you set it up, and then that way you don't have to have a pre-installed rack to use the boats.
Yeah, so you don't have to have a truck or SUV or something special. You can just help them, completely put that rack on.
Yeah, you could have a compact car that we could fit with the carrier, and you would be all set.
I think we should put one on Doug's van.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So another thing I see that you have here are bicycles. So tell us a little bit about those.
So this is a collaborative effort between the Marshall Rec Center and the Department of Sustainability at Marshall University. These are the EcoCycle bikes. It's a bike share program through the university. Students can check these bikes out and use those for their personal use around campus, or if they're willing to brave the streets around town as well. And they just check those out through the front desk at the rec center. A lot of people think that these are our bikes. They're not. We just work to maintain and check them out for a good cause. So
it just gives somebody a place where physical location where you can actually check the bikes out.
Right. So we have storage, and we offered to store those for the department, and it's working out well. So.
And so what comes with those bikes? I see locks on some of them.
Right, so you're going to get a lock and a chain, or just a cable, if you will, and that's it. You'll get the key and everything that you need, and then of course when to return it and all of the logistics of it. So.
All right. Well, thank you. I think we're going to head over to the rock wall and check that out.
Great.
So now we're here at the rock wall, which is probably one of the most striking features of the rec center, and it's the thing that people see, when they're driving down Fifth Avenue or driving up 20th Street. You can, kind of see it from the window. So tell us a little bit about it.
So yeah, it is. It's really the centerpiece of outdoor pursuits. It's the sort of physical presence that we always get. A lot of times people even lose sight of the other things that we're doing, but it's great. You can see it from outside, especially at night. We have spotlights, theater lights that are on the wall, really showcasing all the features that it has. It's roughly 35 feet tall, so it's nice to have it. We also have a bouldering wall on the side that I can get into a little bit in a second. Right now, there's a lot of interesting tape. We just recently had a special event where we have blacklight climbing. So we put drapes over the windows, we turn the lights out in the facility, and then we light it with blacklight. And it's really great. People have really taken to it, and it's going to become an annual offering as a special event specifically for the wall.
So when you come to the rock wall, do you have to have experience? You just get turned loose?
Yeah, so you don't have to have any experience. Again, we're here to educate people on the activities. So there's staff that work every day that will be here to belay you and to teach you. With that being said, we have a couple of options. You can come in. We accept drop-ins, come in every day. Or if you want to get more involved, you can actually go through a belay certification in-house course. It's not a course that's nationally recognized. It's just something that's saying, hey, I'm able to climb here and I'm competent enough to do it safely. And we offer that every day of the week, where you would come in 2 hours, take an educational portion of the course, and then you'll come back on the next day and you'll test out and go through a checklist where we physically test you to see what you've learned, because you have to pass the test to belay someone in the facility.
Now, and there's a benefit for non-members to do that course, is that right?
Yes, so it's in comparison, it's $3 each day to drop in. Or you could take this class for $15, and it's good for 4 months. So we teach you the skill set, but it almost acts as a 4-month membership, unlimited, to come to the rock wall. So if you're going to come more than 5 times, I would say do it for that benefit. But if you're gonna get into climbing, then you need to learn the skill set. So it's a really great course.
So it's relatively, it's actually very inexpensive, less than a movie, less than, pretty much anything else you can do.
Right.
So I come in, I say I want to rock climb. What happens next?
You come in, we'll check you in. If you're a drop-in, a daily drop-in, we'll get you all set with waivers and all that. And then we have harnesses that we give out with each rental.
Okay, so I think we have a harness here that you can show us, right?
Yeah.
And so this is the harness, which can sometimes be confusing to people. When you look at it, you're like, what are all these straps?
Yep. So this is a climbing harness. This is what we would call a student harness. It's very straightforward. It's color coded. So the orange will go on your right leg. This tan khaki color would go on your left, and then of course the waist belt is green. So you pull it up above your hip level. You would want to tighten this first. There's a technique to putting on a harness called double backing. Mm-hmm. It's really what keeps you in the harness if you were to fall and keeps you safe. So, and this it's really great because it says danger. So what you would do is you would cover that up. So that's how you know you're actually double backing.
Yeah, so that's pretty foolproof. I like that.
Yeah, it's good. It's a student harness for a reason because it's really enforcing this education of safety. So.
And so. Are those one size fit all, or will?
Yeah, they are one size fit all. The waistband is really big. I think that it's roughly 60 inches. Okay. So, absolutely. And
then you have each leg that also adjusts, so you don't have to worry about being too big or too little for a harness here.
Right, and we have kids harnesses. I guess that's the only size limitation, but we have that covered too. And kids harnesses are full body harnesses for the smaller guys and girls because it just adds more protection and safety for their small frame.
So full body harness, how does that work?
So it's sort of the same concept. You put your legs in it and then you bring it around. So it straps over the shoulders and around the thighs and then across the waist.
So it all meets at the waist?
Yes, that's the point where we would tie the knot.
I think that's what I would like to climb in.
Yeah, it can be a little nervy climbing up there, but we would definitely have you in one of these. So.
Okay, we have two other pieces of equipment you're going to show us here.
Yeah, so we have shoes here. These are climbing shoes. There are. It seems like with every activity that we want to do, there's always a certain shoe, but it does increase the performance, and for a few reasons. These shoes, as you could probably see, they're very rigid, so they have a strong sole on it. It keeps your toe stiff, and in some what we would call an aggressive shoe, it'll even be like this. And the reason behind that, the functionality, is to keep your foot as a platform. A secure platform when climbing. That way it's not loose and flexible, because in climbing you use your feet a lot. You'll use a toe to get into a tight spot or whatever, which another point is the rubber that's on these shoes is very, very sticky almost, so it creates a lot of friction.
Oh, wow.
So you can really sort of smear, I guess is a term that a lot of people use, the shoe onto the rock. Mm-hmm. And it also helps you stay in place. So
it's not like I noticed that there's no like lugs like a tennis shoe.
No, there's not. So there's no indentions or grooves or anything on the bottom. It's all flat, and for good reason. Again, it's that functionality portion of what you're doing with your feet. So
now, I know that I've tried to come in and climb in tennis shoes, and that didn't work out very well. But you can, I've seen a lot of people climb in tennis shoes, so you don't necessarily have to have the climbing shoe, but it does help a lot, right? Right.
So, indoors, you can definitely climb with tennis shoes. You're exactly right. It's not. It provides for a less fun experience because
it was less fun. You're right.
because the shoes actually they help you. So it feels like your skill set increases just by putting the shoes on, and in some respects it does because of that functionality that I was talking about. Outdoors, I wouldn't really want to climb in tennis shoes. I guess you could do it to a certain extent, but things become way more technical once you're outdoors, and indoor climbing is sort of a training ground to eventually climb outdoors. So.
Okay. You had one more thing with you.
Yeah, so we have, this is actually two parts. This is what's called a carabiner. Okay, we use it for a lot of things.
I use it for my keys.
Right. So there are a couple versions of it as well. The really strong ones, which are rated for climbing, and the ones that for your keychain that you would hopefully never use to climb.
Yeah, I think the one on my keychain actually says like not for climbing use.
Right. So, like I was saying, these are used a lot in climbing for different things and different types of climbing. Specifically in here, they clip your belay device, which is this black piece of equipment, to your harness. So it would clip to your harness this way, and that's how you belay a climber. So the rope goes through the ATC, through the carabiner, which is in your belay loop on your harness, out, and then you belay. The ATC stands for air traffic controller. It's one type of belay device. It's more of an active, I guess you could say, because you're actively hands-on. There are auto belays and things like that people use. Here we want people to be engaged with the climber, so always being mindful of the action. That's why we use this specific type.
So we come in, we get geared up, and then we move over here to the wall.
Yeah, so you would have your harness on, and you would come in. There would be staff, or if you were to come in with a friend and you were already belay certified, you would have your rope here that you would tie into. We use a figure 8, a retrace figure 8 knot to tie into the harness, and then the belay partner would stand back here. So based off of what I just showed you with the ATC, the visual. Let me just grab it. So let's say you have your harness on. Okay. This would go in the carabiner. This is a locking carabiner, so it locks over this. This part is called the gate.
So it keeps that from
opening. Yeah. And so it would be clipped to your harness, and you would belay like this. Okay. Yeah. And then while the other person's climbing. The reason for that is if they fall, and a lot of times that happens, it keeps them locked in the place. So when they fall, they don't fall to the floor.
So you don't really fall, you just mostly come off the wall and you're suspended.
Right, yeah, so falling may sound scary, so yeah.
Falling sounds scary.
That's, so yeah, exactly. You would, when you come off the wall, whether it's you missed the hold or missed the move or just taking a break, that way you can sit safely. You're suspended exactly above the floor.
Yeah. So, you see this wall and it's 35 feet high and you don't have to climb, like you said, you can take a break. So you don't have to climb that. You can kind of lean back on your harness.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the beginning, your arms will get extremely tired. And it's good to sit back and maybe shake your arms out and rest, and maybe even think about what you're going to do next, your next move. So.
Yeah. And here that's a little more straightforward than it would be if you were, climbing outdoors, right?
Yeah. So exactly. Because for the most part, what you're going to go for are the holds. So they're the different colored objects that are bolted onto the wall, and those are to mimic different situations that you would find outdoors. This wall is really unique in the sense that it's not flat, and it offers features that you could find outdoors. So like right here, we have a crack that goes straight up the wall.
Yeah, so it goes all the way up.
Yep, that way, and that mimics an actual crack that you would see in a rock formation outdoors. So you can see what it would feel like to use your hands to climb. By putting your hands in the crack, grabbing the edge, leaning on it, sticking your feet in, really getting your toes in there, working those shoes, getting a feel. Because again, aside from having fun, indoor climbing is more of a training tool for outdoor climbing.
Yeah, and so I know that you've mentioned a little bit about the crazy tape, but some of it serves a purpose, correct?
Yeah. So even though all this tape is neon. It's because of that event that I was telling you about. But what it's actually taped are called routes. So if you want to, and it's I would recommend it for beginners. You can just climb up using any hold that you want, or you could follow these routes. And if you were to look closely to the routes, you'll see a rating, and these ratings are what we use to rate the difficulty of the route, and it ranges from 5 on up to 5.13. So easy to extremely hard. Yeah, so the routes are the tape that you would go, and the staff that work here, they're very meticulous and really mindful of the way they set them. So the system is really true to what you would find outdoors. So.
Yeah. So I see this one that has multiple pieces of tape. It has like the green and orange and pink, and then I see it, kind of following up the wall from these holds up to that red hold. So that's a route? Yeah,
that is a route. That's actually specific to what you just said. That's actually a bouldering route, which is a good point. So for the most part, there are two main types of climbing with rope and then climbing without rope.
So how do you climb without rope?
So you
I don't like that idea.
You can free solo, which would be going really high, but then specifically and more general is bouldering, which is a form of climbing without rope that you would only go up to about 12 feet, and then you would basically drop back down. They've developed crash pads for that, which are more or less big, nice cushions to use, which we have some right here. This is an indoor crash pad. This isn't something that you would want to take outside. They make almost backpack crash pads where you can fold it up like a book and put it on your back. But you would lay it out, and if you climb up to the end of the problem, as it's called in bouldering, then you basically drop down. You have someone who spots you to make sure that you're falling onto the crash pad.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So you climb up and then you fall onto this nice cushion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
see, that doesn't seem so bad.
Right.
When you said climbing without a rope, I was like, wait a minute, I can't do that.
Yeah, and then like I said, free soloing is more of an extreme version of climbing without rope that I would personally never do, but people do it. It's pretty interesting.
So I see the routes here, and like you said, people come over and over. Do they get tired of the routes?
I guess yes and no. I think that you can get tired of a certain difficulty, and maybe even tired of a certain route. But our job, aside from educating people and working the other services offered in this program, is to provide constant changes, and one of those changes being with the problems and with the route. And luckily, really fortunate to have a staff that is just, extremely passionate about the sport. And so that's not an issue. So these things are ever evolving and ever changing.
Yeah, so you can actually change the placement of these things on your wall.
Yeah, absolutely. So you would unbolt the hold, and then put it in a different spot, and then retape it. And again, luckily we have such a unique walk that you could incorporate the natural features like the ledges and the cracks and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and so I can see like on the wall now some of the holds or some of the holes where you can move the holds around, and maybe it looks like there's some chalk maybe where things have been moved.
Yeah. So the really chalky spots are sort of a dead giveaway of what people are using as opposed to what they're not. And just like if you were climbing outdoors, you go to a rock formation or rock face, you'll see these little powdery white spots, so people have been using that. Yeah, it's really unique. There are holes through it, so it's easy just to unbolt one and bolt it in a different spot.
So that's really interesting that it'll never, it can always change and it won't, get old over the years.
Yeah, that's sort of what we're going for, and that's the beauty of outdoor recreation, is that there are so many opportunities, and especially in a region like West Virginia, and it's one of those things to where you given mindful of your health and and maybe partly luck. You can do these for a really long time, these sports for a really long time, and it's really sort of a lifetime event, given just your general overall health, I guess. So.
All right. Well,
yep.
Thanks so much for talking with us today.
No problem. Thank you.
From the climbing wall to outdoor gear, Outdoor Pursuits has everything for your next big adventure. So get up, get off the couch, and let's go.